Hello and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now today we're going to be talking about the new Bond film, or as it's better known, Bond 25. Now there has been a lot of rumours regarding the director, whether Sam Mendes was going to return or whether Danny Boyle was going to take the reins. It's now been confirmed by James Bond, the official James Bond Twitter, that Danny Boyle will in fact be taking the reins as director of Bond 25, and it will also be Daniel Craig's fifth outing as 007. I'm quite happy with the news actually. I feel that Danny Boyle is an interesting director to go with. I mean, you think back to his films, Train Spotting. He was the mastermind behind the 2012 Olympics. It's a left field director for me. Is not one that would have popped into my mind 2 years ago if you were to tell me, okay, now write down your list of the top three directors to take reins. He would not have been in my top three, my top five. He would have been nowhere near it. But yeah, it's interesting. Danny Boyle is a very well-known actor. He's directed a few great films. He's directed 127 Hours, which was one of my favorite films. He's directed Slumdog Millionaire, which I really enjoyed. The whole Train Spotting series I loved. Yeah, I think it's a decent director to go with. A very interesting choice because I look back on his films and I haven't really seen much of an action espionage. I haven't seen any espionage or any of those type films in his resume. I didn't think James Bond would actually interest someone like Danny Boyle, but then again, it is James Bond. James Bond is as big as it gets. I mean, when Star Wars, James Bond, or like the Batman, DC universe or the Marvel universe, top execs come to you to direct a film, it's very hard for a director to turn around and say no to these entities that are so massive now and so ingrained in our pop culture. So yeah, I'm personally happy for the for the choice. It's going to be a very interesting choice. It will be Daniel Craig's fifth, and I presume his final James Bond. Daniel Craig, someone after Skyfall. After the fourth film that he did, he wasn't very forthcoming to doing another one. He every time he was asked in an interview whether he was coming back, he was very he basically always danced around the subject. Spectre, that was his last film that he done. Basically saying he would eat nails or something like that, or like go through walk through a field of glass before he'd done another one, before he'd settle down and do another James Bond. Like he'd say certain things like that. That was quite disparaging. If disparaging of someone who you felt was gonna come back and do another one. He basically all the signals he gave was that this Spectre was going to be his last film. But I'm personally glad that he's still going to be doing one again, because for me personally, Daniel Craig is in my top three Bonds after Roger Moore and Sean Connery. Daniel Craig is there in the top three for me. His Bonds have been brilliant. Might be my favourite Bond. Very hard. Roger Moore is still my favourite Bond, but Daniel Craig, when it all is said and done, when his years finish, when like in a couple of years' time, when I look back on the series, perhaps there's a new Bond, who knows? But when I look back, I'll probably end up siding more with Daniel Craig's Bond. I mean, Casino Royale for me is just a masterpiece. For me, is the best Bond film they've ever created. Like Casino Royale, Daniel Craig is the best Bond that I've ever watched in the cinema. So that always I mean, to have me hooked on your first outing, oof, very impressive. Yeah, that's why I think I'm glad that I've enjoyed all his films so far. Quantum of Solace, which a lot of people didn't like, I liked. Yeah, it wasn't his best out of the series, but I liked it. Skyfall, probably the second best one after Casino Royale. Spectre was all right. I felt it was a bit underwhelming, but it was all right. Still better than Quantum of Solace. But yeah, I'm very excited for this. Daniel Boyle's a very interesting director. At least it's gonna. I'll be very interested in the tone that the film takes. When you think back to like the Slumdog's Millionaire, the Train Spotting, his films are very character driven. There's an emphasis on the characters, and their characters are they're multi layered. Um, they're they're very there's a very interesting take, and there's an emphasis on character motives and just how they've been affected by things around them, how they react to things, what's affected them, what there's an emphasis on cause and effect, things like that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how James Bond is. Maybe James Bond will probably. This is me guessing. James Bond will probably be put in situations that maybe affect his decision making. He may be put in positions that make him act rash, act differently, basically acting unexpectedly, something that you wouldn't expect James Bond to do. He'll probably end up doing it because something has caused that in his surroundings. Yeah, so it's going to be a very interesting film. I'm very excited for it. They say the film is going to start its production December 3rd this year. Apparently, MGM and Universal are planning to release the film worldwide next year, late next year, November time. Worldwide, apparently UK will get it first. I'm quite surprised at that. I assumed films usually take a full year to complete, so I was expecting this in to be released the year 2020, but as opposed to being released in 2019. But yeah, if it's released in 2019, the better. It's earlier. But yeah, so expect this film to be released next year, very late fall next year, November, October time. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think Danny Boyle is a good choice for a director, or do you think they should have gone with someone else? I personally wouldn't have minded if Sam Mendes came back, but I could see it was probably time to go for a different tone, try someone different. I would have loved it to have been Christopher Nolan. I mean, again, Christopher Nolan is probably my favorite director. He's probably the best director for me, in my opinion. Even a Darren Aronofsky, the Black Swan director, he would have been. I would have loved for him to have done one. I still hope he does do one. I think sorry, his name Darren Aronofsky. I'm probably not saying that properly, but I would have loved him to have been considered for Bond. I think he maybe was at one point. I'd be very surprised if the execs didn't sound him out, because I think his films are brilliant. The psychological thrillers he creates are just brilliant. I'm still holding out hope that him and Christopher Nolan will one day direct a Bond. But yeah, Danny Boyle, very excited. Loved all Danny Boyle's work. There's not been a Danny Boyle film that I've not really liked. Excited to see the difference in tone, just the way it's shot. But yeah, let me know in the comment section what you think of the decision, and I look forward to getting back to you guys on the next one. Thank you very much.